Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with me, your host, Rosie D. Candia. So let's jump right back into Peter Pan, and we are now on Chapter 12. The children are carried off. The pirate attack had been a complete surprise, a sure proof that the unscrupulous Hook had conducted it improperly. Oh, shocking, for to surprise Redskins fairly is beyond the wit of the white man. By all the unwritten laws of savage warfare, it is always the Redskin who attacks, and with the wiliness of his race, he does it just before the dawn, at which time he knows the courage of the whites to be at its lowest ebb. Wow, they got this thing down right. But Hook, we know Hook is never playing fair. He's the devil, but he's a good-looking devil. He's that rogue. Okay. The white men have in the meantime made a rude stockade on the summit of yonder undulating ground, at the foot of which a stream runs, for it is destruction to be too far from the water. There they await the onslaught, the inexperienced ones clutching their revolvers and treading on twigs, but the old hands sleeping tranquilly until just before dawn. Through the long black night, the savage scouts wriggle snake-like among the grass without stirring a blade. The brushwood closes behind them as silently as sand into which a mole has dived. Wow, oh good Lord, not a sound is to be heard, save when they give vent to a wonderful imitation of the lonely call of the coyote. The cry is answered by other braves, and some of them do it even better than the coyotes, who are not very good at it. So the chill hours wear on, and the long suspense is horribly trying to the pale-face who has to live through it for the first time. But to the trained hand, those ghastly calls and still ghastlier silences are but an intimation of how the night is marching. Oh my God, the drama, the build-up. Oh my God, this is going to be some fight. I hope so, because this is like the coyote calls, people in the silence, and the noises, and the new ones. I don't know. This is kind of like, oh my God, I'm getting what's kind of like this is like a book foreplay. You know what I mean? That this was the usual procedure was so well known to Hook that in disregarding it, he cannot be excused on the plea of ignorance. Of course, he knows the deal. The pickaninnies, on their part, trusted implicitly to his honor. We should have told them, don't trust him, and their whole action of the night stands out in marked contrast to his. They left nothing undone that was consistent with the reputation of their tribe. With that alertness of the senses, which is at once the marvel and despair of civilized peoples, they knew that the pirates were on the island from the moment one of them trod on a dry stick, and in an incredibly short space of time, the coyote cries began. Every foot of ground between the spot where Hook had landed his forces and the home under the trees was stealthily examined by braves wearing their moccasins with the heels in front. They found only one hillock with a stream at its base, so that Hook had no choice. Here he must establish himself and wait for just before the dawn. Everything being thus mapped out with the almost diabolical cunning, the main body of the Redskins folded their blankets around them, and in the phlegmatic manner that is to them the pearl of manhood squatted above the children's home, awaiting the cold moment when they should deal pale death. Dun 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 dun, I've got a non-fear. Here dreaming, though wide awake, of the exquisite tortures to which they were to put him at break of day, those confiding savages were found by the treacherous Hook. From the accounts afterwards supplied by such of the scouts as escaped the carnage, he does not seem even to have paused at the rising ground, though it is certain that in the grey light he must have seen it. No thought of waiting to be attacked appears from first to last to have visited his subtle mind. He would not even hold off till the night was nearly spent. On he pounded with no policy but to fall to. What could the bewildered scouts do? Masters as they were of every warlike artifice save this one, but trot helplessly after him, exposing themselves fatally to view. while they gave pathetic utterance to the coyote cry. Wow, I'm really gonna need a fan for this. I'm so hot. Around the brave tiger lily were a dozen of her stoutest warriors, and they suddenly saw the perfidious pirates bearing down upon them, fell from their eyes and the film through which they had looked at victory. No more would they torture at the stake. For them, the happy hunting grounds was now. They knew it, but as their father's sons, they acquitted themselves. Even then, they had time to gather in a phalanx that would have been hard to break had they risen quickly. But this they were forbidden to do by the traditions of their race. It is written that the noble savage must never express surprise in the presence of the white. Thus, terrible as the sudden appearance of the pirates must have been to them, they remained stationary for a moment, not a muscle moving, as if the foe had come by invitation. Then indeed, the tradition gallantly upheld, they seized their weapons, and the air was torn with the war cry, but it was now too late. Oh no. Hook, you're a scumbag and you don't play fair, but he's gonna get his. They always do, 'cause Karma's a bitch, and so am I. All right. It is no part of ours to describe what was a massacre rather than a fight. Thus perished many of the flower of the Pickaninny tribe. Not all unavenged did they die, for with Lean Wolf fell Alf Mason to disturb the Spanish Main no more, and among others who bit the dust were Geo, Scory, or Scoury, Chairs, Turley, and the Alsatian Fogarty. Turley fell to the tomahawk of the terrible panther, who ultimately cut a way through the pirates with Tiger Lily and a small remnant of the tribe. Okay, so we know that Tiger Lily has survived, thank God, and some other of the tribe, and they've gotten away from pirates, hopefully. To what extent Hook is to blame for his tactics on this occasion is for the historian to decide. Had he waited on the rising ground till the proper hour, he and his men would probably have been butchered. And in judging him, it is only fair to take this into account. What he should perhaps have done was to acquaint his opponents that he proposed to follow a new method. That's hysterical. So he was supposed to tell his opponents of his tactic. I love it. Oh my God, good Lord. On the other hand, this, as destroying the element of surprise, would have made his strategy of no avail, so that the whole question is beset with difficulties, of course. One cannot at least withhold a reluctant admiration for the wit that he had conceived so bold a scheme, and the fell genius with which it was carried out. What were his own feelings about himself at that triumphant moment? Fain would his dogs have known, as breathing heavily and wiping their cutlasses, they gathered at a discreet distance from his hook and squinted through their ferret eyes at this extraordinary man. Elation must have been in his heart, but his face did not reflect it. Ever a dark and solitary enigma, he stood aloof from his followers in spirit as in substance. The night's work was not yet over, for it was not the redskins he had come out to destroy. They were but the bees to be smoked, so that he should get all at the honey. It was Pan he wanted, Pan and Wendy and their band, but chiefly Pan. Peter was such a small boy that one tends to wonder at the man's hatred of him. This is the question. Why do you hate Peter Pan, Hook? Now we're hopefully gonna frickin' find out, because I need to know. This is a kid. This is a sprite. What's the frickin' deal? Oh, Gavalt, get over it. Hook needs major therapy. That's all I want to say. It's all I want to say. True, he had flung Hook's arm to the crocodile, but even this, and the increased insecurity of life to which it led, owing to the crocodile's pertinacity, hardly account for a vindictiveness so relentless and malignant. God, that's a mouthful. The truth is, there was something about Peter which goaded the pirate captain to a frenzy. It was not his courage. It was not his engaging appearance. It was not, there was no beating about the bush, for we know quite well what it was. And I've got to tell, it was Peter's cockiness. Oh my God, you see, people? No one likes a cocky prick. And even Hook can't deal with Peter's cockiness. So nothing else, just his cockiness. That is why he is driven to madness. Driven to madness, I say. Cockiness doesn't look good on anybody, but I'm going to say this. Being confident is nice. That's a good thing. You got to be confident in life. But cocky is just disgusting, and I don't like cockiness. But Peter's a little 12-year-old boy, but obviously there's something unhealed with Hook. We'll talk about that in the woo-woo. let's move on. This had got on Hook's nerves. It made his iron claw twitch, and at night it disturbed him like an insect. Oh God, he really needs therapy. While Peter lived, the tortured man felt that he was a lion in a cage into which a sparrow had come. The question now was how to get down the trees or how to get his dogs down. He ran his greedy eyes over them, searching for the thinnest ones. They wriggled uncomfortably, for they knew he would not scruple to ram them down with poles. In the meantime, what of the boys? We have seen them at the first clang of the weapons, turned as it were into stone figures, open-mouthed, all appealing with outstretched arms to Peter, and we return to them as their mouths close and their arms fall to their sides. The pandemonium above has ceased almost as suddenly as it arose, passed like a fierce gust of wind, or like a piece of gas. Like I always like to say, this too shall pass like gas. And gas isn't in pieces, but anyway, you know what I meant. But they know that in the passing, it has determined their fate. Which side had won? The pirates, listening avidly at the mouths of the trees, heard the question put by every boy, and alas, they also heard Peter's answer. If the Redskins have won, he said, they will beat the tom-tom. It is always their sign of victory. Now Smee had found the tom-tom and was at that moment sitting on it. You will never hear the tom-tom again, he muttered, but inaudibly, of course, for strict silence had been enjoined. To his amazement, Hook signed him to beat the tom-tom, and slowly there came to Smee an understanding of the dreadful wickedness of the order. Never, probably, had this simple man admired Hook so much. Twice Smee beat upon the instrument and then stopped to listen gleefully. The tom-tom! The miscreants heard Peter cry. An Indian victory! The doomed children answered with a cheer. There was music to the black hearts above, and almost immediately they repeated their goodbyes to Peter. This puzzled the pirates, but all their other feelings were swallowed by a base delight that the enemy were about to come up the trees. Oh my God, talk about shit-ass timing. Yikes. Because he don't know that the Lost Boys are leaving with, Wendy, Michael, and John, right? Hello? This was a bad moment. Oy. They smirked at each other and rubbed their hands. Rapidly and silently, Hook gave his orders. One man to each tree, and the others to arrange themselves in a line 2 yards apart. Oh, damn. Okay. We're done with that chapter. Holy shitesky. You want to talk about bad luck. These kids were about to leave, and now you're like, is the universe stopping them? What the hell is going on? Okay. First, I just want to say Hook definitely needs major therapy. The fact that he despises this little boy for his cockiness. And you know what? This is something that gets me right into the woo-woo. Because Hook really despises Peter for his cockiness, leads me to believe, because Hook, we've been reading, he's got some issues. He questions himself, right? So, remember when it was the Mermaid's Lagoon and they tricked his ass and did all that kind of stuff, and he didn't know who he was, and Peter was, faking it was him, and he was like, who am I? Hook really doesn't have real confidence. His whole thing is built on being a total jackwad, right? A total dick. So he's made it because he's basically made people fear him into admiring him. But Peter inherently has this confidence, which when it's too much confidence, it becomes cocky. But that's not the point. But because Hook doesn't have it in himself, he sees it in Peter and it irritates the shit out of him. Now think about it. There are times in our lives, right, that we know somebody or meet somebody, and there's just something about them that just gets under your skin, and it just gets in your craw, and it eats away at you, and you're like, what is it about them? And sometimes it is a quality like, well, they're just a dick. And it's not like you want to have those qualities, but maybe they have a quality of being positive all the time, or being somebody who is, full of light and love, or somebody who is just confident, or somebody who is driven. And what happens, I think, a lot of people feel inferior, and that's your own choice if you're feeling inferior. Say you walk out into the world and you're confident and you're driven and you're doing whatever you need to do to get where you need to be. Now, those are beautiful, admirable qualities, and I applaud you. But some other people, if they're not living in their truth or thinking that they're enough, what happens? They start envying that or being jealous, and they become the haters. We all know haters, right? Especially if you're on social media, the trolls. When they're sitting home, these people are just getting pissed if you look good, if you're doing something that they'd like to be doing, or they think that you think you're better than me because you're doing that. No, I don't. I'm just doing me. So my thing to you is to think about the times that you've had people like hate on you, or if you've hated on people, and is it because of like their think about like, oh my God, was it jealousy towards me or some envy? And friends also can have some envy of you, and that's a sad thing when you find out a friend has envy about like doesn't like is not in your best interest. And but besides friends, it's like to think about like how you reacted to that and how you felt. Did it make you douse your light? Did it make you feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't stand out so much, or maybe I shouldn't just be as much as who I am because I'm too much? And I hate when people say she's too much, he's too much. Screw you. If someone's living in their truth and they're being authentic, they're never too much. They're being who they are. And just because that other person feels inferior or can't stand in their truth, they're just intimidated, and that's on them. So I just want to encourage you, if you're journaling, great, think about the times that you felt you were too much, or you felt like you had to douse your light because, hello, other people were making you feel badly because they felt inferior. Or let's flip the switch, because we also got to do examination of ourselves. If there was something in life that there was somebody that you kind of envied or had jealousy of, and what was the qualities about them, and or if there was someone that you just had, like they had a quality that actually was an admirable quality, but it just pissed you off. And it wasn't because that you didn't have that quality at that time. And now looking back, you can see like, I see that. Because, people also can also be mirrors of who we are too. And this is another flip side. So one hand is to be like, maybe you get annoyed with them because you don't have that quality and you wish you did. Or they're mirroring a quality you have, and that pisses you off. And if it's a bad quality, something like not being confident but being cocky, maybe you are also really cocky, so you're being presented with that kind of quality that you're like, this person pisses me off. Or maybe they're stubborn and they don't know how to compromise, and it just pisses you off. And it's because maybe you don't know how to compromise, because the whole point when two people are stubborn, no one makes a compromise, right? So I'm going to encourage you to think about the people that have irked the shit out of you, because people can irk the shit out of you. And it could be friends, it could be family members, it could be coworkers, it could be bosses, it can be people that work for you. It doesn't make a difference. Point is, what it brought out in you. And, thinking back, are there qualities now that you're like, oh my God, I was totally not feeling enough, so that person intimidated me? Or was it just like, oh my God, that person mirrored me at that time, and now I get it? Because the more we become conscious of people, like how we feel towards people, that's more how we deal with people. And the better we can, what I really want to say is, the better we can interact and realize that everybody is trying to do the best they can. All right, no one is perfect. We didn't come here, and when I say perfect, I mean you're already complete, whole, and enough. But perfect in the sense of, oh, well, look at that person, look at that person. It's not about that. It's just where we all came here with different gifts and abilities. But the more that we can understand that our relationship to people is how we're perceiving things. And sometimes there are people that are just assholes. I'm not saying that. But if you can see that and clear through the debris also of making relationships better, because there are people you still have to deal with sometimes, and they have qualities that piss you off. But I'm just going to encourage you to look at the qualities that piss you off, why it pisses you off. And if it's qualities you admire, then maybe you can start mirroring that and start working on yourself to have those qualities. And if it's qualities that you really don't like, question yourself and see if there's something like, oh my God, maybe this person is mirroring me. And you know what? You can work on that. And the whole point of this journey, my friends, once again, it's to illuminate yourself about you. Because the more you get so good with you and light up yourself and figure out the way you tick, you know how to work with people around you. And then lastly, I want to say, when I talked about if you doused your light, think about the times you felt like I'm too much. Please, my friends, don't douse your light. I did it for many years. I started in show business as a kid, and singing and acting brought me a lot of attention, not like in the public eye, but in school and what have you. And there was some bullying, whatever. But the point is this: I started dousing my light for years. And then what happens, you start thinking like, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. And then you start being overly giving to people and overly too much, where you're like, well, I need this person to like me, and if they see that I have talents and gifts or my personality is too much, they're not going to like me. And then I learned, wait a second. When you are standing in your truth and you love yourself and you say, wait a second, this is just who I am. I'm being my authentic self. You don't need to douse your light. It's not about that, because the people that are intimidated by you, that's their problem. Like when you're intimidated by somebody else, that's your stuff. So the same thing goes for the flip side. So don't douse your light. You've got gifts. You've got something to say. You got to be who you are. You know, I got to be me. I got to be me. You got to be you. Because at this point, my friends, we all came here. We all came here with a purpose and a mission. And don't doubt your light, because dousing your light and making yourself small to make other people feel comfortable, you're not living in your truth. And it's not fair to you, first and foremost, and it's not fair to them, because you know what? When you shine your light and you're authentic and truthful in who you are, it inspires others to be authentic and to stand in their truth. And when you shine your light and just live in your truth and authenticity, you know what? The universe sees that, and all the wonderful gifts, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will give it to you, because you are being in your truth and you're vibrating at your most authentic self. So please don't play the guest star, the co-star in your own sitcom. Be the star. And being a star is being gracious and kind, but being truthful and authentic in who you are. Not being cocky and not being a jackwad, but being somebody who's kind and loving, but still knows who they are and stands in their truth and authenticity. I can't stress that enough. I mean, and the more you do that, that's the whole thing. That's why we talk about self-love and self-worth and being enough all this time. Because at the end of the day, my friends, it all begins with us. We work on ourselves. You know what they say? Be the change you want to see in the world. You make the changes within, and what happens? The world reflects back to you all that beautiful stuff that you emit. And also, when you make changes, your life changes, the people in your life changes, the opportunities change, things become even greater when you change for the better. So it doesn't mean that you're not good enough now. It's just that we're looking at parts of ourselves that we could always work on, because honey, this is not a sprint. Life is a marathon, and we're going to be here for a while. You know what? Hopefully a long time, and hopefully we do it with love, light, gratitude, peace, and joy, and all that good stuff. So why not work on ourselves? Because the more we make the changes within, the more around us, change, and we can design the type of life, and we can design the reality that we choose to live in. Okay, my friends, that is a lot. I know. I'm wishing you well. I hope you are staying safe and healthy and blessed and sane. And just know that I give with my heart. I do this because I love it. And I truly believe what I say. And don't think that I'm always rosy. I've had my moments, and I still do at times. But through this, and I hope through these words, you can find something that'll inspire you and understand that, you know what? You are worthy. You are enough. And no one can take that away from you. So, oh my God, I'm crying. So with that being said, I send you so much light, love, peace, and joy, and have a blessed day. Okay, go on with your badass self, and go shine that light, okay? Oh boy, I see that light. There's no one better than you, okay? Own it. Love yourself. Own it. Own it. Let's work. Bye.